Today, we're really taking a closer look at a fascinating section of the Quran, one that offers, well, immense insight into both spiritual growth and, practical living. We're zeroing in on Surah Al-Baqarah, specifically verses 183 and 184. Now, these verses, they're pretty foundational. They really illuminate the practice of Psalm, that's fasting within Islam. They give us a kind of complete picture of its purpose and the wisdom behind why it's enjoined. So our mission today is to explore these key verses, really unpack their implications, and reveal the nuanced understanding they provide, especially regarding spiritual obligation, divine mercy, and that path towards righteousness. Think of this as your curated insight, connecting the dots for a deeper understanding.
Exactly. And what's particularly striking, I think, about these verses is how they don't just lay down a rule, like you said. They articulate this beautifully balanced perspective, one that weaves together self-discipline with really deep compassion. It's a framework that resonates, not just for Muslims observing the practice, but really for anyone seeking to grasp the deeper spiritual and societal dimensions of, well, devotion in general.
Okay, so let's dive right in then, starting with that powerful command in verse 183. It begins, "O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting, as it was decreed upon those before you that you may become righteous." I mean, that immediately sets a serious, significant tone.
It really does. That opening phrase, "O you who have believed," it clearly establishes Psalm as an obligation, a
Yeah.
core part of faith. But the part that often carries so much weight, historically and theologically, is "as it was decreed upon those before you."
Right. What's the significance there?
Well, it's not just a passing comment. It emphasizes continuity. It shows that fasting isn't unique only to the community of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's actually a practice woven through various divine traditions before Islam. It suggests this universal principle of spiritual training.
Interesting. A universal principle. So what's the ultimate goal here? It's obviously aiming for something more profound than just, skipping meals.
Absolutely. That would miss the point entirely. The real essence of Psalm is spiritual refinement. It transcends mere physical abstinence. Its core objective, as the verse concludes, is cultivating taqwa.
Taqwa, God consciousness.
Precisely. Think of it like developing an inner spiritual awareness, making you acutely conscious of Allah's presence in, well, every part of your life. Through this practice, you're not just enduring hunger or thirst, you're actively training patience, strengthening self-restraint, and fostering a deep sense of gratitude. It's really designed to elevate your spiritual awareness, purify the soul, and deepen sincerity in worship, bringing that felt presence of the divine into daily life.
It definitely sounds like a rigorous spiritual discipline then, something pushing individuals towards a deeper state of self-awareness. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The very next verse, 184, almost immediately pivots, introducing this profound element of mercy. It reads, "Fasting for a limited number of days. So whoever among you is ill or on a journey during them, then an equal number of days are to be made up. And upon those who are able to fast but with hardship, a ransom as substitute of feeding a poor person each day. And whoever volunteers excess it is better for him. But to fast is best for you if you only knew."
Yes, this verse is just brilliant in how it articulates Islam's approach. Balancing obligation with inherent mercy, it immediately acknowledges that, well, life happens, people face different circumstances, different challenges, so it details specific concessions. For instance, if you're sick or traveling, you're not expected to fast.
Right, you make it up later.
Exactly. You make up the missed days later when your situation allows. It ensures there's no undue burden. And then crucially, it addresses those facing more enduring hardship. People with chronic illnesses, perhaps, or conditions of frailty where fasting would be genuinely harmful or, impossible. For them, Islam provides this powerful alternative, fidya.
Okay, fidya, what exactly is that? And why is this provision so key to understanding the compassion in Islamic law?
Fidya essentially involves feeding a needy person for each day of fasting that one is unable to observe. So if someone can't fast for the whole month, say 30 days due to a chronic condition, they would arrange to provide 30 meals for people in need.
Ah, I see.
And this provision is absolutely crucial. It fundamentally showcases Islam's immense compassion. It ensures that no believer feels excluded from the spiritual rewards and atmosphere of Ramadan just because of a physical limitation. It's a tangible expression of that core principle of ease, use within Islamic law. Worship should be accessible.
That makes sense. Yet, even with these allowances, these concessions, the verse still circles back to emphasize the value of fasting itself if one is able.
Precisely. It closes with that powerful statement. But to fast is best for you if you only knew. It's not presented as a threat or a heavy demand, but more like a profound affirmation. It reinforces the intrinsic spiritual and even physical benefits that Psalm offers. It suggests that while the concessions exist out of divine mercy, the act of fasting itself holds immeasurable good, perhaps good we can't fully grasp without experiencing it.
Yeah. It really highlights that divine guidance isn't rigid or unfeeling. It's deeply considerate of our actual human conditions, prioritizing well-being alongside spiritual devotion. Okay, so we have this personal discipline psalm and these merciful alternatives like fidya. How do these individual acts connect to the wider community? How do they foster, say, social responsibility?
Ah, that's a great question. And this is where these verses beautifully reveal the integral link between personal worship and communal welfare. If you consider fidya, and also the general encouragement in the verse for voluntary good, whoever volunteers excess it is better for him, it immediately nurtures a spirit of generosity.
Mm-hmm.
It ensures that those less fortunate directly benefit from the resources of those who are more able. It creates this kind of virtuous cycle of giving within the community. But beyond the financial aspect, the act of fasting itself is a powerful tool for cultivating empathy.
Oh, so?
Well, when believers willingly abstain from food and drink, even temporarily, it offers a direct, although maybe brief, taste of the struggles faced by those who experience hunger involuntarily.
Right, the less privileged.
Exactly. That shared, even momentary experience of deprivation can really heighten awareness. It can cultivate a more charitable disposition, inspiring people to contribute more generously, whether through fidya or zakat or other forms of sadaqah, voluntary charity.
So it's like the practice itself, Psalm, forges this direct link between your own spiritual growth and providing tangible, real-world support for the community. It's not just internal.
Exactly that. It's not just about personal piety and isolation. It reinforces that profound interconnectedness of the ummah, the community. By encouraging these acts of giving and empathy, it helps ensure that the well-being of all members is considered and supported, fostering a stronger, more compassionate society overall.
Now, you mentioned these are foundational verses, but they aren't standalone, right? They fit into a larger framework for fasting within the Qur'an.
That's correct. They lay a vital foundation, but the guidance definitely extends further. The Qur'an provides quite detailed instructions on Psalm elsewhere. For example, the very next verse, verse 185 of Surah Al-Baqarah, elaborates on the immense significance of the month of Ramadan itself.
Ah, the month the Qur'an was revealed.
Precisely. It states the Qur'an was sent down in this blessed month,
Right.
and it reaffirms the core fasting guidelines. Then you have verse 187, also in Al-Baqarah. This clarifies permissible actions during the nights of fasting, things like eating, drinking, intimacy between spouses, striking that balance between spiritual dedication during the day and legitimate human needs at night. And it goes beyond this surah too. You find fasting mentioned in other contexts, like in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 89, which discusses kafara, or expiation for breaking an oath. Fasting is sometimes prescribed there as a means of atonement.
Okay. So it's clear this is a structured, multifaceted approach. Psalm isn't just presented as a single ritual, but more like a holistic, transformative journey that touches on faith, character, atonement, many levels. So as we kind of bring this together, what would you say is the overarching wisdom, the essential takeaway behind both the discipline involved in fasting and the mercy we see in fidya?
Well, I think at its heart, Psalm is fundamentally about refining the inner self. It's much deeper than just not eating or drinking. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized that fasting is a shield junah, a protection from sin. It's an unparalleled opportunity for purification and ultimately a path to earning Allah's pleasure. It's a profound spiritual cleanse, really. And crucially, fidya, that provision for those who cannot fast, upholds this vital principle of inclusivity in worship.
Inclusivity, right?
Yes. Those genuinely unable to fast due to valid hardship are not excluded. They're not cut off from the spiritual rewards of this blessed time. By feeding the needy, they still participate in the blessings of the month. And that act itself reinforces that deep, beautiful interconnectedness of the Muslim community. It ensures no one is left behind in seeking divine favor.
So it really is this divine gift, one that beautifully marries rigorous discipline with profound mercy. Well, this deep dive into Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 183 and 184, it truly captures that rich tapestry of Psalm. Fasting as a means to attain righteousness, taqwa, and a closer bond with the divine. It really illustrates a journey of the soul that is, yes, demanding, but also deeply, deeply compassionate.
It does. And it underscores Islam's inherent mercy so beautifully by thoughtfully accommodating diverse human conditions and capacities. Through this really delicate balance of discipline and compassion, these verses teach us something profound, I think. that devotion isn't solely about ritual adherence, important as that is. It's about cultivating a heart that is constantly mindful of Allah and at the same time deeply compassionate toward all His creation.
Whether it's through that personal discipline of Psalm, or the, heartwarming generosity of Fidya, or just generally increasing acts of charity during Ramadan and beyond, these verses clearly highlight a powerful opportunity for all of us, an opportunity to elevate our spirituality, strengthen our connection with God, and genuinely contribute to the well-being of our community.
Absolutely. And perhaps this exploration raises an important question for you, our listener, to reflect on. How might you interpret or perhaps apply this balance of obligation and mercy in your own life? What aspect of personal discipline or maybe communal support inspired perhaps by these insights resonates most strongly with you today? Something to think about.